Toby and the Race. The morning sun bathed the big meadow in gold, turning the starting banner into a brilliant, snapping ribbon of color. Animals crowded the line, muscles twitching with kinetic potential. Rabbit performed a series of rapid-fire backflips, while Squirrel double-knotted her laces with practiced mechanical precision. Then Toby arrived. He was late. His breath came in shallow, ragged gasps that rattled in his chest. He clutched a small water bottle, his fingers trembling. As he adjusted his stance, his hand drifted to his back. He felt the jagged edge of the crack running down his shell. He traced the fissure with a claw, his expression tightening into a grim white line. He whispered to the wind, "It is fine." Rabbit glanced over, his brow furrowing as he caught sight of the jagged line on Toby's back. "Toby, are you sure about this?" Toby straightened his back, his jaw set. "I said I am fine," he replied, his voice thin but firm. He stared ahead. The memory of the previous night flooded back, colder and sharper than the morning air. Toby had been by the pond just before dawn when the world felt like it was ending. Mud clung to his skin, thick and heavy. Gravel stung his knees every time he hit the ground. He had collapsed 7 times. 7 times he had hauled himself upright, only to stumble again. He had stared at his own reflection in the dark water, the crack in his shell looking like a deep, jagged canyon in the pale light. "Too slow," he had muttered, pulling his head into his shell to hide from the failure. He was ready to stop. He was ready to let the race happen without him. Then a ladybug landed on the fracture. She did not speak at first. She walked the length of the crack, her tiny legs ticking against his shell like a clock. She stopped near the center of the break. "You walked here in the dark," she whispered. "You fell 7 times and stood up 7 times. The words anchored him. He stood up, and this time he did not fall. The shame began to recede, replaced by a quiet, steady resolve. The starting whistle pierced the air, a sharp, metallic shriek that triggered an instant reaction. The field exploded into motion. Rabbit, squirrel, fox, and other animals vanished into a blur of speed, their footfalls kicking up a thick, choking cloud of dust. Toby did not chase them. He did not lunge or sprint. He simply planted his feet, one after the other, focusing on the rhythmic, mechanical beat of his own movement. Left, right, left, right. The sun climbed higher, baking the meadow into a furnace. The heat radiated off the dry grass, shimmering in waves. Ahead, the pace of the leaders began to fracture. Squirrel stopped to gasp for air in the shade of a lone willow. Toby maintained his steady, relentless pace. He did not look back at the starting line, and he did not look at the leaders. Every step was a deliberate choice to continue, ignoring the burning in his muscles, keeping his eyes locked firmly on the path ahead. The final stretch of the meadow opened up, a long, sun-scorched path leading to the finish line. The roar of the crowd had died down to a murmur, then a hush. They watched, not with the frantic energy. Toby did not acknowledge them. He did not look for faces or listen for names. His world had narrowed to the next patch of grass. His lungs burned, and the heat of the afternoon sun pressed against his shell, but he moved with a mechanical, unyielding persistence. As he neared the line, the distance between him and the waiting animals vanished. He saw the finish banner, frayed and golden in the late light. He took one final deliberate step. His foot touched the line. The silence broke. A wave of sound erupted from the meadow. The animals burst into cheers as Toby reached the finish line. Toby stopped. His chest heaved, pulling in deep, ragged gulps of air. He did not collapse. He stood, his legs trembling from the exertion. That evening, the meadow fell silent. Toby sat on his favorite rock, the ladybug resting nearby in the cooling air. He opened his notebook, the pages worn and soft. He picked up his charcoal and began to sketch. He drew the meadow, the long path, and the finish line. Finally, he drew himself, capturing the jagged fracture across his shell with deliberate, steady strokes. He pinned the new drawing to his wall, directly over the old image of a flawless, fast version of himself. He stared at the lines on the paper. The crack was no longer a symbol of fragility or a mistake to be hidden. It was a map of the distance he had traveled, a record of every time he had fallen and every time he had stood back up. He was not the fastest, and he was not the strongest, but he was whole. He closed his eyes, the weight of the day settling into a quiet, enduring peace.
Slow and steady, 1 foot at a time.
Step by step, now you're doing just fine. Slow and steady, 1 foot at a time. Slow and steady, you don't have to fly. Fall down 7 times, get up 8, that's fine. Slow and steady, you'll cross the finish line. Hey! Tiny tumbles, brush your knees, don't cry. Try again now, give it one more try. Slow and steady, 1 foot at a time. Slow and steady, you don't have to fly. Fall down 7 times, get up 8, that's fine. Slow and steady, you'll cross the finish line. You'll be fine.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and tap the little bell so you won't miss our next story. Bye-bye.